Just look at what's happening. Look at all of the attacks that are going on across the globe. The so-called terrorist attacks. What links all of these attacks together? What is the common thread? The thing that they all have in common, the similarity that they all share. And nobody wants to talk about this, but I will. The common thread is obvious. Islamophobia. Islamophobia. And income inequality. And Donald Trump. And the patriarchy. You know, which this, one of the great books of all time I just finished, is all about that. It's all about the patriarchy. You know. But the main thing is Islamophobia. The problem is not that people are being killed by terrorists, but that people are afraid of being killed by terrorists. To be afraid of your own destruction is bigoted. If a Muslim wants to kill you, the only appropriate response is, I understand, and I apologize for not being dead already. Who are you to judge a Muslim who wants you dead? Who are you to determine whether or not he should kill you? That's why I don't like the term terrorism. I prefer the term, and I find terrorism, it is a very limiting label that causes a stigma. And there's too much stigma on so-called terrorism. I prefer the term expressions of Islamophobia victimization, or EIV for short. These are people who are victims of phobia. And their way of reaching out and asking for help is by killing people. And I know there are racist right-wingers who will say, well, you know, gee, all of these attacks the people are the same religion, maybe the religion has something to do with it. Wrong. False. That logic doesn't work. I'll tell you where the logic works. That logic only works with Christians, with Christian terrorists. And this is the great plague across the whole globe that nobody wants to talk about. Look at think about the Christians who are blowing up abortion clinics. Okay? This is happening all the time. And in fact, I pulled up a list of attacks because the number of attacks is so important for you to know. Look at, just in the last 2 years, all of the fatal attacks on abortion clinics in just the last 2 years. I have this list right here. You have the shooting in Colorado Springs in 2015. You have well, the number of attacks is not important. Forget about that. Let's look at it this way. Forget about the random terror groups that are randomly Islamic. Look at the Islamic countries ruled by Islamic law. And in those countries, you have peace and tranquility, with the exception of Iran and Saudi Arabia and Pakistan and Yemen and Libya and Somalia. And anyway, that's not the point. The point is, look, the point is the Crusades. All right? Many of these so-called terrorists had parents who died in the Crusades. How would you feel if that were you? I think you'd be pretty angry about it. What were the Crusades? You know, I've studied this subject for a long time, and I can tell you that the Crusades were, it should be clear to anyone that the Crusades were a series of religious wars sanctioned by the Latin Church in the medieval period, especially the campaigns in the Eastern Mediterranean aimed at recovering the Holy Land from Islamic rule. You know, there you go. Recovering the Holy Land, recovering. So that means that it was Christian before. And that, anyway, look, that's not the point. The point is we all just need to coexist and unite and accept each other. And we could do that if you conservative Christians would just stop being what you are. So